Hello everyone. Welcome to Unit 2 of Week 3 discussion. In this unit, we will discuss different methods of formative assessment during classroom teaching. So by the end of this unit, you will be able to describe questioning and discussion as tools for formative assessment. So we will discuss various formative assessment methods. But in this particular unit, we will focus primarily on questioning and discussion as tools for formative assessment. The second is, you will be able to identify a few principles for quality questioning and discussion in case studies of classroom context. Now, in our last unit, we have discussed about 5 strategies of doing formative assessment. The first one is clarifying the course outcome. The second is engineering effective classroom discussions. The third is providing feedback. Fourth is related to peer assessment, and fifth is related to self-assessment. Okay. So, as far as strategy 2 is concerned and as far as strategy 3 is concerned, okay. So, this is all happening inside the classroom and it is primarily dealt by the instructor, right? Engineering effective classroom discussions. And all of it is happening to elicit evidences of students' learning, okay, and then also provide feedback to scaffold students' learning, okay. So, in this unit, we will try to discuss questioning and discussion which can be used to elicit evidence of students' learning and also to provide feedback. So, we are in strategy 2 and 3 primarily. So, in this unit and in the next unit, we will be discussing a few methods of formative assessment. Primarily in this unit, we will focus on questioning and discussion, which is part of strategy 2 and strategy 3 as far as the theory of formative assessment is concerned. So, to begin this discussion, we will watch a video clip from the movie Mona Lisa Smile. And in this particular scene, you will see that there is a professor. She is teaching history of art and she is asking a few questions to the students while the class is going on, and students are trying to respond. Please watch this movie. Try to see that what kind of classroom environment is there, what kind of effort teacher is doing to engineer classroom discussions. So, what did you observe in this classroom? The teacher was asking a few questions and students were able to respond all of them correctly. If you try to think about the nature of the questions, all the answers that students were giving were mostly factual in nature, mostly recall based questions. The question is, all these questions which were asked by the teacher, are those questions actually formative in nature? Can these questions be considered as a tool for formative assessment? Probably no. So, what kind of questions becomes formative? So, a formative question is not about getting right answers. It is about revealing the thought process of the student. The question should actually uncover reasoning, misconceptions, assumptions, and decision making. And if a question doesn't help you decide what to do next instructionally, probably that question is not formative in nature. All the formative questions, all the questions that are asked during classroom teaching, they are formative only if it encourages dialogues and it does not encourage the right kind of answers. All these questions should encourage some kind of dialogue. Now, let us try to see, so based on the experience of day 1 of teaching learning, this teacher goes back, does some different kind of preparation and then gets into the class, the second class, and you will see that what kind of questions the teacher is asking now and how those questions are helping teacher take the discussion ahead. And you can actually imagine that how the questions, the nature of the question have changed from questions that were more recall based, more factual questions, to questions that are more formative in nature. So let us try to see that video clip. So from this video, probably it is very clear that what is the difference between the questions that are formative and questions that are not formative in nature. But what is research saying around the status of questioning in the classroom? Research is saying that most teachers rarely use higher order question. And if we have to break it into percentage, about 60% of the teachers' questions focus on facts or recall. About 20% questions relate to classroom management, such as have you done your homework, when is the deadline of the assignment, and only 20% require higher level cognitive processing. These are the questions which are actually formative in nature, but unfortunately the weightage to these kind of questions is very less, just 20%. Also, it has been found out that majority of the questions are answered by teachers themselves. Sometimes teachers becomes impatient and they actually gives and provides the right answer. Also, there is a tendency to call on only few students, few specific students who are more interested. Probably then we are missing out on the students who are not able to understand, or who have lots and lots of learning gaps, if there is a tendency to call a very few students in the class. Similarly, treating answers as binary, right or wrong, instead of insights. All formative questions should encourage dialogues, and it shouldn't be only about right and wrong answers. Also, there is another research which is around wait time. Okay, so when we ask questions, we pause for some time, we wait for some time, so that students get some time to think and then respond. However, studies on wait time shows that teachers typically do not allow enough time. And there is a tendency that teachers respond themselves, or sometimes they move to the next question or the next topic. So research shows that increasing wait time from 1 second to around 3 to 5 seconds results in better responses from students. Okay, it improves response in a both qualitative and quantitative manner. And it has been found out that actually when we slow down, students reflect more clearly. They are also ready to take risks, and they are also able to articulate ideas more clearly. So I would really recommend that you can actually wait. Probably you can silently count to 3 before calling on someone. I think this approach will really be helpful to help students participate better in the classroom discussion. Let us see a few examples of questioning. So there can be different ways to ask questions. So I am only showing 4, probably there can be more. So probably there are certain questions which are more diagnostic in nature. These questions basically reveal some kind of misconceptions, okay, certain assumptions. Also sometimes something related to prior knowledge, or if there are any misunderstandings, right? So these questions are diagnostic in nature. For example, what do you predict will happen if? Another kind of questions are probing questions. These questions actually assess the depth of thinking. Also, it expects students to justify their responses. What makes you say that? Another kind of questions can be application question, where students are trying to apply the concepts in some new scenario. There can be other kind of questions which are more metacognitive kind of questions, okay? Something which is expecting students to self-assess themselves, right? So how students are approaching, okay, something. For example, how are they thinking so that they are very clear about the expectations, and they are also very clear about their own thinking. Okay, so they are also understanding that what is the approach I am taking to reach to the right answer. So let us see a few examples to understand it better. For example, one example of diagnostic question can be, do you think mean or median better represents this data set? What makes you think so? Okay. Also, there can be a probing question where a teacher might ask, how does the sample size influences how much we trust this estimate? Okay. So, this is a higher level question as compared to diagnostic question. There can be another question as far as the application is concerned, where students are expected to apply the concepts in a new situation. So here probably student is applying the concept of mean and margin of error. If the teacher is asking the question like, if the sample size doubled but the mean stayed the same, how would the margin of error change? Okay. And the most important question, especially in the context of higher education, are metacognitive questions. So, because we have adult learners, we know that they are very capable to assess themselves, and the whole objective should be to make them independent learners and independent thinkers. So, these kind of questions are actually very, very helpful. Probably we can ask them this question, where did you feel uncertain while you were interpreting the data? Okay. Now, students are closely thinking about their own thinking in case of metacognitive kind of questions. So, in our subsequent webinars, we will actually see lots of examples of how such questions can be asked in a more systematic manner. Also, it is important to understand that we are not always conducting questioning for a discussion purpose or for encouraging a dialogue. Sometimes questioning can also act as feedback, right? So, feedback doesn't always need to be corrective statements. Question can also be feedback. And these questions that prompt next steps or ask for justification promote student thinking without shutting down conversation. So, for example, if I am asking questions like, what step might you try next? So, this is kind of a feedback, right? Similarly, what evidence support your conclusion? How would you explain this idea to a peer? So, which means this kind of a question, when I'm clear about a concept, probably then only I will be able to explain it well to a peer, right? So, this can also be a feedback, so that student is able to self-assess his or her understanding about some concept. Similarly, there can be a question, what is an alternative interpretation? Okay, so such questions are actually acting as a feedback. Now, when we are talking about feedback, we are actually talking about the strategy 3. Okay, the strategy 3 of the theory of formative assessment. Now, let us try to see an example of questioning in a classroom setup. Okay, say the course outcome is explains the relationship between electric field and electric potential. Okay, say this is the course outcome, and then there is a discussion between instructor and several students. Okay, and you will see that how questioning is used. Actually, the art of questioning is used. So, instructor begins with a question, what does the electric field at a point represent? To this question, student A responds, the force per unit positive charge. The instructor again asks a question. So, if the electric field at a point is 0, does that mean that the electric potential is always 0? And then instructor gives a wait time. Another student says, no, the potential could be any constant value. 0 field just means it's not changing. Then the instructor asks, give an example where the field is 0 but the potential isn't. The third student responds, at the midpoint between two equal charges. So instructor says, well done, and asks another question. How are electric field and electric potential related? So the student says the field is the rate of change of the potential. Now see, this is a very, very basic kind of a course outcome, right? And probably lot of it is being discussed in previous grades or in earlier years only, right? Now, how do I actually try to ask questions, the right kind of questions to take the discussion ahead? Now, in this particular discussion, there were a variety of questions that were used. The first two questions were more diagnostic in nature, where the attempt was to understand the prior knowledge. The second kind of question was application question, where the objective was to see if a child is able to use the concept in a new scenario or not. And the fourth kind of question was metacognitive, right? And in this case, the objective was if a student is able to self-assess himself or herself, right? And you would have seen that in the entire conversation, lot of wait time is given. So whenever instructor is asking the question, there is a wait time. Okay. So I hope this kind of a discussion around questioning might have helped you that what kind of questions are more worthwhile to ask, or what kind of questions can we qualify as formative kind of questions. Now let us look into the second method of doing formative assessment, which is discussions. If you recall the theory of formative assessment, the second strategy was engineering effective classroom discussions for eliciting students' learning, right? So the discussion now will be related to the strategy 2, and you will also see some component of feedback coming in. So which means the strategy 3 of formative assessment will also be captured in this discussion. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of discussion? So effective discussion allows students to compare their reasoning, okay? Because often we have observed that misconceptions can hide in silence, but they surface out very clearly and very quickly during the discussions. And when students are debating their interpretations, we actually hear flawed assumptions, and these are the moments that should guide what we address next, right? So in this kind of a setup, the knowledge is not transferred from the instructor to the student. Instead, the knowledge is co-constructed. The knowledge is co-constructed by the teachers and the students, okay? Also, there is an opportunity to identify and correct misunderstandings together. What is the role of instructor in structuring these classroom discussion? So, firstly, it is essential that we ask open-ended questions. Okay, again, go back to the discussion of questioning as a formative assessment tool. So now we understand that what kind of questions are formative in nature. Okay, the questions for which we are actually expecting a binary kind of answer, okay, a very closed kind of answer, probably those questions will not help us to facilitate a good discussion where evidences can be elicited about students' learning. Also, to provide wait time after asking questions, okay, prompt students to respond to each other. So instead of teachers responding to all the questions of students, to all the concerns of the student, it is also important to use peers as resources, right? Peers can respond to each other. Validate ideas before correcting. Instead of saying, no, this is not the right answer, how about validation? Okay, so students are also learning the skill of validation through this process. Okay, and also emphasize on reasoning. So if I'm responding in certain manner, probably I should also be able to reason that what is the reason behind my response. Okay, and what is the role of instructor? A very important role is after this discussion, it is important to summarize, bring everything together, to synthesize. Okay, and it is important that when the instructor is synthesizing and summarizing, these summarization and synthesization should happen by connecting students' responses. Okay, which means students will feel valued, students' responses will be valued, right, through this particular process. Now, how do we structure classroom discussion? Now that we understand the meaning of classroom discussion, we understand the role of the instructor, how do we structure it? I'm proposing a few structures for productive classroom discussion, but there can be many more. The first can be think, pair, share. So all these structures that we are providing, they basically make the discussions more inclusive in nature. They also make the discussions more purposeful. So if we are talking about think, pair, share, basically in this approach, every student formulates an idea before hearing others. Okay, and we will also see one specific example of this kind of an approach. But what are the other two approaches? Probably there can be some reasoning tasks given in smaller groups. Okay, in this case, basically we are distributing the participation. Various groups are analyzing a problem, they are justifying, they are also presenting their evidences. And lastly, the whole class dialogue. This is something which we frequently use in our classes. Here, instructor facilitates connections across students' ideas. Basically, the objective is to synthesize the classroom discussion. Okay, of course, by bringing students' responses in any of these activities like think, pair, share, or small group reasoning task. Now, let us see an example that how classroom discussions can be structured better through think, pair, and share. So, let us assume that the purpose of the activity is to help students analyze real classroom scenarios, identify formative assessment elements, and reason through what makes an assessment formative rather than summative. Now, in this case, I have not taken any example of engineering courses, but I have taken an example of the course which you are part of, assessment of student performance. Now, say I am trying to conduct this activity using think, pair, and share. Okay, so probably I am using a prompt as a facilitator. Okay, and as a prompt, I am using 3 classroom scenarios. So, in the scenario A, a teacher gives a short quiz, checks the answers, does not provide feedback, and moves on to the next topic. Okay. In the scenario B, a teacher asks students to solve a problem on mini whiteboards, holds them up, and then provides targeted guidance based on common errors. And in scenario C, students complete a draft of a project, receive peer and teacher feedback, revise it, and submit the revised version later. So you see, in each of these scenarios, different kinds of assessment are happening. Okay, and what is the purpose of this activity? Students are required to analyze these scenarios and they need to identify the formative assessment elements. Okay, and then reason if the assessment is either formative or summative in nature. Okay, so the first activity is done at an individual level. Okay, and then they try to pair with one of their peer group, right? So what are they doing here? They are comparing their classification with their partner. Okay, so probably they have classified scenario A as summative, scenario B and C as formative. Okay, so they are basically comparing their classification with their partner. Okay, now what are they discussing? And these prompts are again given by the teacher. Where did you agree? Where did you disagree? What criteria did you each use to determine formative? What seems to be the most important element that makes an assessment formative? Okay, now through this discussion, peers are able to understand that what approach is being taken by the individual student to reach to a conclusion that some scenario is either formative or summative in nature. And then once the discussion is happened between the partners, they basically share, right? So instructor basically asks the peers to share their insights. Okay, so which scenario caused the most disagreement and why? What patterns or principles emerged across your discussions? What did you decide is the key element that differentiates formative from summative assessment? How does feedback, timing, and instructional adjustment influence the classification? Now, see, in the entire discussion, okay, this is a very structured kind of a discussion. Okay, now where is the effort done by the instructor? The effort is on designing these scenarios, right? Designing scenario A, scenario B, and scenario C. So certain case studies are given. Okay, however, the entire effort is done by the students, right? So they are initially thinking, okay, then they are pairing with each other, and then instructor is trying to synthesize, okay, through a sharing activity. Now in this approach, again there is lot of scope of providing feedback, which is one essential component of formative assessment. Okay. Also, there is lot of effort for eliciting evidences of students' learning. So with this, we have concluded the discussion of Unit 2. So we have tried to introduce questioning and discussion as formative assessment tool, okay, in a classroom setup. In our next unit, we will try to discuss few other methods of conducting formative assessment again for the classroom teaching.